All right, so this is my reflection video for geocultural studies. The guiding question we had for this semester was how does the interconnectedness of culture, geography, and economics influence social, cultural, and economic change? Um, right off the bat, that's a really broad question. It has a lot of, um, culture, geography, and economics are really dense topics. There's a lot to take away from this question. Um, I think about the various cultures that that I studied this semester, but also what the other inquiry projects that my classmates did. Um, and the just this weekend I was visiting Detroit, Michigan, and just even seeing the vast differences between Detroit, Michigan, and Montgomery, Vermont. And I was trying to think about like what's going on in Detroit and like what are some similar things that are going on in Detroit that are also going on in small town Vermont, and where are some differences, where like what are we looking at? um and I appreciate that this class has me thinking about those things. I think that was a really important takeaway for me, is that I can I have a better understanding that that things are complicated. I know that seems like kind of a silly, well, not silly, but just like a simple response, but it's really important to know that when you're looking at a city like Detroit, or you're looking at a group of people like the Basque people in Spain, it's important to know that there are a variety of factors that are at work as the city changes, as the people change, that it's not just one clear, well, it can be one clear reason, but not usually. Detroit's been struggling. That's probably the nicest way to put it, for the past few decades. They've been struggling mainly economically due to the car manufacturers all leaving, um, and due to that, like their culture's been heavily affected, just with there's not a lot of people that live there. Just, it's a city built for 11 million people, and there's, I think, under 6 million people living there. So there's just vast areas that are just abandoned, that are just empty. There's not enough people to populate the city, and that creates a social climate of um, where it can just be a little sad to drive around the city. I mean, but obviously I'm an outsider. I have family that live in and around Detroit, and they're very proud of being in Detroit and from Detroit. And um, and there's always a sense of hope as well too, that in the future this city is making a comeback, and I believe it is too. I mean, I've been there a number of times, and it's growing. There's businesses that are returning and thriving, and it's great to see. But it's taking a long time, and you get to kind of observe, or at least I get to kind of observe from far away, all this change that's happening, and like observing how the culture and economics are pushing that change. Um, the geography also is actually contributing as well too, because there's actually, due to a lot of the abandoned areas, the people have basically started doing urban farming projects as well, because of the nice open flat land in parts of the city. It's like, well, we can just start planting things here. You've got some lovely community gardens because of the geography, um, makes it easy to do that. Um, but again, it's really important for me as a teacher to understand the complicated factors that go into social, cultural, and economic change, uh, and that when I have students in my classroom, I'll need to know. Well, for one, I'll need to know, but like their culture, their where they come from, who are they, and like what are the factors that are at work in their lives. Um, but I also, and it's also important to understand the influences that I can have in my classroom to positively affect change, both in my classroom and in my community. One of the things, not just in this class, but in other education courses, we've talked about how the classroom and the school is a part of the community. It doesn't operate independent of its surroundings. It is embedded in the community, and it's important that I, as a teacher, am involved in the community. I can't just, clock in and clock out and go home and pretend I'm not, and I can't ignore the community. Um, and so it was good to have a class like geocultural studies to really um, talk about and examine how culture, geography, and economics all come together um, to influence communities. I had a fun time really like listening to other people present their projects and their their interesting indigenous group, or whether it was an indigenous group or a larger region or a country. um, it was great to be able to listen to the different culture, geography, and economics that are existing or have existed in this world. Um, and so I'm really grateful for this class for helping me learn a bit more, both of just new cultures, but also um, understand the importance of um, the culture, geography, and economics, and understand how they affect change and how they can, well, both kind of positively and negatively affect change. Um, and I'm really looking forward to applying the concepts that I learned in my classroom and moving forward just in NVU. Thanks.